Unjani sis wami?
Gikhona, kunjani?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm honored to have you here. You're officially my first guest for 2025.
That's lovely.
And I think you're the first person I'm sitting with a notepad. I'm trying to do things better. I normally do notes on my phone and people think I'm being disrespectful. So I'm coming and it's going to look like I'm taking notes. I was very inspired by a sit down you had, an interview you did on Newzroom Afrika.
Okay.
And from there, I immediately went to your profiles and I tried to hunt you down. I was pleasantly surprised that you've been on many platforms before, which makes me very happy. And we're here to discuss something very important.
Yeah.
But before we do, I don't know if you'd like to, Angazu being a bagini, where's home?
Yeah, okay.
What do you do for a living?
Yeah,
just very briefly.
Okay, well, Putnami, I'm very grateful that you went out and found me. The Newzroom interview, surprisingly, has had some positive, outcomes, has had some very intentional, how can I put it? People have wanted to talk to me because of the few minutes that I spoke in Newzroom. And lapaya bengichaza nje, isimo the way sizokhuluma ngaso mina now. But basically what I want to get to is I'm grateful that people recognized my passion and recognized me and who I am as a result of those 15 minutes. So saying now, I was relaxed, by the sea, and you were like, was a sokuluma. So I'm here, sokuluma now. I have respect for you. I have something I want to talk to you about today. To be honest with you, that is exactly why I was like,
I'm nervous. Now I'm nervous. Jeez.
With all that being said, so mina Zola Mbatha mfethu and ngibuye emlazi kwa-Ash. And I'm actually particularly proud of my community. As njengoba ngibuya khona manje ngoDecember, I was just looking at how our kids are having each other's backs and playing, but they're doing whatever they're doing, and it's almost a replica of how we were as parents, the generation that is now their parents, and it's how our parents raised us. So I'm very proud of how much of a community Indawo efana nomlazi is. Yes,
still intact.
I felt
Okay.
And I felt so very proud of that. Outside of what I saw on the festive season, in particular, which I'm gonna tell you about, abantu abaningi bebephethe utshwala yabo and like bebuphuza. Hayi ukuthi it's festive season uyababona ukuthi abantu baphuza ngisho phakathi nonyaka mfethu. And lento angiphathi kahle.
They're not drinking for entertainment.
Abantu engibashiye be right. Ngibuya abasekho right. Yabo sekukhona nokuthi utshwala buyabonakala. I don't like the word ukubotoka, but it's there.
Sure.
And lento leyo ngiphathe kabi. I just hope people will have more faith in themselves by calling that they are better than tabayicindezela kuyona, Yeah, but outside of that, so I'm an admitted attorney of the High Court. I love stating it because it's a long journey to get there. Yeah. It's a 4-year LLB degree, 4 years if you're diligent. And 2 years articles, 4 board exams, and 1 year law school for me to be able to say, my name is Zola Mbatha and I'm an admitted attorney. So
congrats on that, by the way. To yourself and anyone else who's managed to overcome this journey.
Thank you. And so how I ended up in front of you today is I administered estates, right? I started with articles, and my then principal and boss said to me, I've got 2 files for you that I need you to sort out. I transfer property, so my where I did my articles is a conveyancing law firm, which means they deal primarily with property, which is where I got my property law experience.
Sure.
So utelo mama lona, yazla namafala tu abantu who are not here anymore and I want to transfer their property. Go hambi yobona ukuthi uzokwenzani ngazo. And so I went straight to the master's office. I found myself a very good-hearted man by the name of Mr. Walter Nemaukwe, who's currently the head of the master's office in Johannesburg. And wangifundisa everything I know about estates, fiduciary services. He didn't spoon feed me. He gave me the act. He said, here's the act. Ufuna ukwazi about deceased estates, fund the act. And then come and argue with me about it.
Okay.
Please
give his name again, Walter?
Walter Nemaukwe.
Nemaukwe.
Yes.
Okay.
And a very kind-hearted solo soldier kind of a person. He's also an attorney, but he's just gone into the public sector. Right, so I everything I know about estates to a point where I took it to corporate. Being figure corporate, they put me in high net worth estates, political estates. I administered the estate of the late Xolani Gwala.
Okay. May he rest in peace. One of the most brilliant interviewers and media personalities we've had.
100%. And a very great family man. Amazing family man. Yeah. So I then got close with his then partner, spouse, Miss Peggy Sue Kumalo, who's now my mentor in corporate. She's my protector.
Beautiful.
So it's great how relationships grow from you providing a service. I also administered a really wealthy black family wealth, really wealthy white family wealth, all races, gahle gahle. And I think it's quite great what people put in process and the systems they followed and used to get to that level of wealth. And the fact that they followed the systems that are created to transfer the wealth successfully. So I become then the hand of the executor to help transfer that wealth to the next generation. And so and this is where I discovered that mekufika kuma estates abantu bakithi akuhambi kahle kakhulu. Yeah, there's a lot of disputes, there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of fights, there's a lot of entitlement. One thing Walter Nemauko used to say to me was the problem with umuntu ofika la master's office azothi hey lena phela imali yami ngivele ngithi kuyena I'll stop you right there. Imali umuntu oshonile is not your money. It's not even an entitlement. It's a gift. No one is forced to give you what they worked hard for.
Yeah.
Okay, so appreciated and treated accordingly. So ama estates abantu abamnyama have a lot of disputes, and whenever there's a dispute in a deceased estate, you can only take it to the High Court, and High Court has high expenses. And you need to use an advocate in most instances, or attorneys that have been admitted to appear in the High Court. They charge a lot, and people are not even aware you can't directly as a public member go to an advocate. You have to go through an attorney. And so that creates double cost. And so at the level at which abantu abamnyama fight over deceased estates, they waste a lot of that wealth and inheritance during those fighting processes. And so I don't like that. And that's why I started talking. I started saying it's very important to do a last will and testament. Why is it important to do a last will and testament? Because you get to tell people what you want to happen to your estate, and you give the power to the person who's going to represent you once you pass away. Don't miss that opportunity. And I said it's very important to understand family trusts. Why is it so important to understand family trust? Because a trust is a tool that helps you protect your wealth. You've built it, put the tools in place to protect it. And then I said it's very important to do estate planning. Why? Because a lot of people want to discover ukuthi benzeni section new. It's late. COVID came and it did a lot that was bad for us as a society, as people. I lost a very good friend near COVID.
I'm sorry about that, by the way.
Yeah. I'll tell you about him later. His name is Moikwa Sisulu. He's such a brother. Moikwa Sisulu. Moi, if you are his friend. But sure. I'll talk to you about him later. And so once COVID happened, there was a large number of deaths. And as a result, institutions that administer estates were overwhelmed. Already before COVID, institutions are taking too long to administer estate. Do you know that an average estate that's been administered well takes about a year to 6 months? There's a year to 6 months where a breadwinner has died.
A year and 6 months?
Yeah,
that's
a year
18
and
months.
6 months, 18 months.
That's one that's been done well.
And that's a great one.
18 months minimum.
18 months.
Sure.
And there's estates that have taken 10 years. Okay? What does the family do while the estate is not administered? Legally, you don't have access to those funds. You're a breadwinner. Do family members know that? Do breadwinners know that? There's a 2-year period. Let's just call it 2 years, where you must cater for your family. And your estate is not going to be done. Yeah. So I said, let's do estate planning. Instead of being reactive, let's be proactive. And so that's how I started talking, and that's how I've ended up here.
You spoke about 2 cases.
Yeah.
Did you say 2 cases? When you met Walter,
yeah,
he forced you to read the act?
2 files on top of my boss's desk. Okay. Yeah. So they had passed away. The owners of the property had passed away.
Sure.
And my boss wanted to transfer the property. So
was the one who called Kwala?
No. This was at the beginning of my journey.
Okay.
The Kolani Kwala estate, I was called. I was at a bank.
Okay.
And I was called on the day he passed away, 1 November 2019. And I remember Ngizwa Indabeni, Kolani Kwala has passed away, and that was heartbreaking for us because you know. And we also thought the cancer was getting better. So when I heard in the news, I'm very emotional. And I was like, okay, let me feel this emotion. Zola, please come to the MD's office. Listen, Uxolani Gwala has passed away. We're sure you heard. I'm like, yeah, I heard on the news. We need you to deal with the estate. We need you to deal with the estate because of your experience, because of the way you handle family members who are, going through bereavement. And we need you to handle the estate because the wife of Uxolani Gwala is an executive at the bank. So will you? I was like, of course, it's going to be an honor. And I went for it. I'll tell you this.
We're not allowed to mention the bank, no? I just want to confirm.
No, but it's not that we're not allowed.
Is it the bank that I know, a small bank?
Yeah, well...
Okay, no problem. Please continue.
It's not that we're not allowed, but we just don't want to mention people's names so that this conversation is about you and me. No,
of course.
Yeah. So I took 8 months to administer that estate, by the way. I went for it. I was like, every day, diligently, umama lo mncane, umntana lo mphethe. So let her. And I wish everyone else could have that luxury of having a matter as painful and as sensitive as a deceased estate handled that quickly so that they don't have to keep dealing with it.
If we're dealing with 18 months minimum and you wrapped it up in 8 months, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I went for it. Look, I got in a bit of trouble. I have preferential treatment.
Sure.
Yeah, but I intentionally did that.
I was not aware that Uxolani Gwala and Peggy Sue Khumalo were together.
Yeah,
Thank you for raising that. But I do want to mention that people can go look up. I think she's an ex-Miss South Africa.
Yes.
She's a highly decorated corporate businesswoman. For people that may not know.
Banking exec.
So, bazohlanganisa the dots, probably of which bank, which I think it is. Thank you for raising that and thank you for coming through. I've just written some notes. The first one being, you mentioned advocate versus attorney.
Yeah.
What is the difference?
Well, the advocate, I'd say, is a specialist, the person who litigates. They don't draft the court papers in most cases. Okay. The attorney does. So from a medical perspective, if I can use that example, the advocate would be the brain surgeon and the attorney would be the general who sends you to the...
So a normal medical doctor is an attorney.
Yes.
It's almost like a basic lawyer.
Yes.
And then an attorney is more specialized. They go to court. An advocate, sorry.
An advocate, yeah.
Attorney, advocate.
Advocate, yes. But please, we must not make the mistake of umbrella, treatment in relation to what an attorney does. Yeah. Attorneys specialize.
Okay.
But I just want to use the medical example so that people understand the different roles.
Does every advocate start as an attorney?
No. So an advocate will get a legal qualification, your LLB.
Okay.
And then an advocate will go do pupillage for about 6 months of training.
What's pupillage?
It's just training with another advocate.
The advocate's almost offices. Being an apprentice. Okay.
And then I have not, though, looked into the specifics of what the actual 6-month period entails.
Sure.
And then basically after that, the advocate gets qualified.
Yeah.
There's probably more extensive. My focus is here, being an attorney. Sure. And I told you how long that takes.
Yeah.
So being an attorney takes a bit longer than being an advocate.
Okay.
So who's the specialist? Not that it's a competition.
You guys can beef alone in your industry. But in the way you're raising it, advocates cost more.
Advocates definitely cost more. Yeah. I mean, remember the Oscar Pistorius case?
Yeah.
Barry Rue, yes. I think, was the defense advocate. Barry Rue.
Yes.
Is that his name, right? Barry Rue, right?
Yeah.
He cost more than the attorney that was also at that table. And so Oscar Pistorius had Barry Rue as a senior advocate. He had a junior advocate. He had a senior attorney and a junior attorney. Barry Rue was about 50,000 an hour. The one senior advocate alone.
You're reminding me of why I hate your industry, but I'll speak about it later. 50,000 rand an hour.
An hour.
I've heard some people throw around figures. I'm not going to mention the figure of how much senior advocate Dalimpofu costs.
Yes, I've also heard of
these
that
figure. These are our celebrity advocates. Him, Barry Rue, Harinel.
Toby?
Tembega Ngugai as well.
Toby, yeah. Jeez. I'm a big fan of his work. I love what he did, with the the International Criminal Court.
Sure.
Yeah.
But when they went ICJ.
Yeah. ICJ.
With Palestine and Israel. Okay, thank you. The other thing you raised is when it comes to estate issues, they can only go to the High Court.
Yeah.
So I'd just like
for
you to
litigation.
explain what other courts are there or lower courts.
Yeah.
What's the difference with the High Court and why does it cost money?
Okay, so there's the Constitutional Court, which is the highest court in the land.
Okay.
There's the Appeal Court in Bloem,
Okay.
which
The Supreme Court of
the
Appeal.
Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloem.
Okay.
And then you've
These
got
are the highest courts.
these are
Constitutional
you've
at the
got your
highest.
Constitutional, your Appeal,
Supreme
so that if you were going down,
Constitutional is here at Constitutional Hill.
Constitutional is here
In Braamfontein.
In Braamfontein,
In Johannesburg,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. And then Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloem. And then we've got your high court. Each region, each province has a high court.
A1.
No, some have two, like Gauteng in Pretoria and in Johannesburg.
Okay.
In KZN in Pietermaritzburg
Pietermaritzburg.
and Durban. And I think there's another one. Such as where there's a high court, there is a master of the high court, which is an admin office that, sits together with this high court office.
Yeah.
And so this is why I say whenever there's a litigation or a dispute in an estate, which is only dealt with in a master of the high court, it goes straight to the high court. It can't go to the magistrate court because the magistrate court, which is lower than the high court, does not have jurisdiction.
It's the lowest level.
No, the lowest, I would say CCMA and small claims court, I think, is the smallest.
Small claims court is the smallest, but that's when you're claiming for money?
Yeah, small claims, that's when you're claiming for money. The last time I checked, I think the jurisdiction there was from one rand to I think it's 15,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you've got the CCMA, which deals with labor disputes.
Yeah, CCMA and the labor court. So the CCMA would be the lower court and the labor court would be the higher court of
the CCMA.
For labor disputes, yeah.
And then for most other matters, it then becomes magistrate.
It's then magistrate courts. From the last time I checked, I stand to be corrected, from 20,000 claims.
Sure.
Valued at 20,000 and above in the magistrate's court. And then, of course, and again, based on monetary value, it then goes to the high court and also the type of matter that it is. If it has to deal with the person, there is a subcategory of the magistrate's court, which is the regional court, seen as a senior of the magistrate's court, which deals with divorces mainly.
Okay. If I get arrested for speeding,
Magistrate's
if there's
court.
domestic cases,
Magistrate's courts.
it's generally that. If it's not small amounts, if it's not labor issues, it's magistrate's court. And then for higher amounts, over 15,000, we stand to be corrected. And then after magistrate, it's high court.
After magistrates, it's high court, yeah.
You're saying estate matters can only go to the high court?
High court. They don't go to small claims. They don't go to magistrates' courts. They don't go to regional magistrates' courts. They go only to the high court. And in the high court, you need to be an advocate to appear or an attorney with the right to appear in the high court.
Which makes them expensive. Do you have a range? Not just estimate. It doesn't have to be exact.
No.
You're looking at lawyers between this much to that much an hour. Maybe not 50,000, but maybe 500.
Definitely not 50,000. That's an exceptional case in that way. But I think generally attorneys will charge about 1,500 to 3,500 per hour.
Of their work.
Your small law firm, medium-sized law firms. But your top 5 law firms, you'll find attorneys charging about 5,000 to 8,000 an hour.
This is to appear or also doing the admin work?
To consult. For you and I to sit right now.
For an hour?
For an hour.
Geez, njoba wena unginezi hour nje ungiphi imali as an example, as an attorney.
Precisely.
Thank you, by the way. And I hope people contribute to us in the work we're doing. Do you think personally that this is something that should be fixed? And depending on the size of the estate, magistrates should look into them? Or maybe have, which I don't know if you take an estate, say 10,000 to a small claims court, as an example.
Well, firstly, when we talk about estates, you need to understand that there's 2 letters that the master of the high court issues, which is very important. A letter of authority, which is what most of our moms know about. It meant only letter of authority.
That means I have full access to imali yababo wakho.
Zokwazi kuyithatha leyo mali ku-account. And the letter of executorship.
Sure.
Okay? The most estates in South Africa right now are letters of executorship, including estates in the townships. And the reason for that is the value of the houses that people have in the townships are above 250,000 rand. So if an estate is valued below 250,000, it's a letter of authority. If it's valued above 250,000, it's a letter of executorship.
So it depends on amount?
It depends on the value, the monetary value.
These are the same letters. They just depend on value.
Yes. So the letter of authority will then list the actual assets that, comprise of this value And the reason for that is so that the person can just deal with it themselves. Whereas the letter of executorship, which are the estates that are taking your 12 to 18 months, there's a process, a 10-step process. I've videoized it. I think I've written an article about it. I've done videos about it.
This is on social media?
Yeah.
On all social media, just YouTube?
I've put on TikTok, on Instagram.
Do you know what the title was? Or we'll put in the comments
10
later.
10 steps of estate administration.
10 steps
of estate administration.
10 steps of
estate administration.
Estate administration.
Yeah.
So they must search for that and then also search Zola Mbatha.
Yeah.
And hopefully it will show up.
Yeah, it should. Yeah, because once you know the 10 states of estate administration, no one can,
mess you around.
Take you for a ride. Yeah. Uyakwazi ukusho i-valid complaint. No, but ukunamba ba manje, we are now 8 months down in this estate process. What number are you on here? And that's why I put out those steps like that.
And most of us don't know that.
No, people don't.
And if you're dealing with a lawyer that's a shark, they just keep kicking the can down, but constantly charging you for maybe work they're not even doing. Yeah,
speaking of a lawyer that is a shark, I think that it's also a bit sad and disheartening how many people batatwa, advantage of because of estate administration and their lack of knowledge. In relation to a lot of complaints against lawyers, the most painful and the most prominent are people who have estates agubo taken, by lawyers that are not behaving right. Eventually, they end up getting disbarred. But that inheritance is gone. Yeah. Well, so I think I'm not saying there's better bad things to do, but I think the worst space you can crook a person is when they've lost someone who's been taking care.
Maybe there's children involved.
Not even maybe. So now abantu must make their own way, because when you wanted these shortcuts, you didn't even care that you're gonna get this part, as long as you tataleo maleo, and that's just.
Sorry to deviate a bit, but this gives me the gap to bash your industry, because I've got serious hate for your industry, and I apologize.
Is hate the word?
Hate is definitely the word.
Okay.
There's a lot of stories that have come out about lawyers that have stolen RAF money for beneficiaries. There are lawyers that charge exorbitant fees. And I find myself realizing that we're dealing with legal versus justice, where it's a legal system that we have, and it may not necessarily be just.
Okay.
But the lawyer can say, I followed process. I argued, my client paid. I'm like, sure, we'll tick all the boxes, but was it just? When you looked at that woman crying and the children not getting what they want, and you guys as lawyers, divorce lawyers, the lawyers that deal with the state matters, you made so much money, but that money was meant to be money for children. And anyways, forget my hate. I wanted to ask, in your personal opinion, thumbsuck, what percentage of lawyers would you say are not acting in good faith and are just chasing money no matter what?
That's a difficult question.
Yeah.
You can't thumbsuck something like that because you can't even determine intention. What you're talking about is intention.
Sure.
People went to go get qualifications. Let's say 100 people. They went to go get their legal qualifications, go through the processes I just spoke about, the well-known attorney one and the wishy-washy advocate one. And and then maybe
disclaimer.
Yeah, please.
That's her opinion.
Hey, they go for you in those comments.
Sure.
Ooh, people are brutal. And no one knows what their intention was.
Correct.
As they studied. We're all assuming the intention was to go be a valuable person in society and bring in some, income for yourself and your family, but also change some lives by being there for people. How people, or rather legal practitioners and attorneys or advocates, then end up using trust funds, what causes that? When I got admitted, I was one of 4 female candidate attorneys, and there were 4 female judges. It was such a moment for me as a lover of anything that's got to do with women when it goes great, right? Because I admit there's some. We'll go into that later. Now, when I got admitted, those judges said, when you are an attorney, be an attorney with ethics. We're giving you this beacon today to go act on behalf of society and represent the law. Don't now turn around and get greedy. We trust. Don't do that. You know it's unlawful, it's illegal. Don't do it and then go take your own life. Because a lot of attorneys have done that.
Sure.
But you must trust and then go and take their own lives. I mean, there was a guy who was on the news. It's just that I can't remember his name. He took his own life because Ulimali yonke kuma trust, over 10 million or whatever the case is. Don't do that. And so where I'm going with this is when we all get our qualifications, I'm assuming the intention is to be great. But once you get there, we are lingua. Satan, what happens? This money is so much money. And the reason we can't give a percentage is because we can never determine the intention. And that's the problem. We can't quantify the intention. So we just keep getting shocked as the wrong things happen. Road accident fund, yes. There's a lot of monies they've taken. A lot of monies. And let me tell you something, Penna. For you to get money from the road accident fund, you need to be 30% bodily impaired. This means 30% of your body shouldn't be functioning.
Is that the rule?
That's the law.
Pelatina, we've seen people that are alive and kicking with ref
they're
money.
not alive and kicking in places you can't see. And it's going to show up at a time, road accident fund. So you need to be very injured. You don't just get in an accident and then you qualify. You must prove. Doctors must show. As a whole group of people who created fake medical reports.
There's a lot of dodgy doctors in ref, a lot of dodgy lawyers, but there's also a lot of dodgy doctors who get money to write up these medical reports.
It's just a group of people. For something bad to work well, there's a whole group of people who must take part in it.
That's correct.
Yeah, so we can never tell the percentage, but what we can tell is that they exist, and a lot of them, and that's very unfortunate, especially because they're charged with the duty of protecting the people they're harming. Yabo? And now you want to harm people, abashonel, who have lost the breadwinner, who are basically in the border of losing hope. Your actions as a legal practitioner, as you help them with this estate, can either determine whether this family is going to go forward and be okay, or really be damaged and recover. So don't choose.
And this is why people like myself appreciate people like you so much, because it's not so much that you're giving free legal advice to the public, which you shouldn't be. You should be getting paid. But it's the fact that you're trying to create awareness that, guys, I don't want you guys being taken for a ride. I'm a child of this country. I was raised by parents. I know the struggles of people out there. And the last thing I want is for people to exploit you just because you are ignorant.
Yes.
So please know these are, for example, the 10 steps of the state administration. So that you'll pay, you'll complain, but at least you were given a fair service than being taken for a ride.
Precisely, And now in relation to the fees, yes, they're quite high, but they qualified. They've become experts in their field. They've specialized. They go above, because we can't only talk about the bad experiences. We must talk about abantu who are really working hard.
But no 8 months.
Including Nayu Peru. Yeah.
No 8 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, take it easy.
At least. So, including Nayu Peru, we saw him, we watched, he put it to us as a nation and to those people in the court. What's sebenza 50,000 an hour. We only think it's a lot because that's now 50,000 an hour.
Correct.
Yeah, so we can't also bash. Let people excel and let them be compensated for excelling and being professional and doing things right. Because why do you even deserve this money?
So we agree that estate matters shouldn't only be in the High Court. We should be looking into.
Look, estate matters, estate planning should be priority.
This is being proactive.
Yeah, estate planning should be a priority so that there isn't even dispute, so that we're not worried.
Level.
Yeah, go be smooth.
But taught at school level.
It should, yes.
Like taxes.
100% succession.
Okay.
Yeah, it's law of succession. Yeah, it's law of succession. How does this thing succeed to the next generation? What are the steps that need to be taken and why and how?
By school, I mean high school.
Yeah, I agree with you. As a high school subject.
Sure.
Yeah. Because it's so integral and we're all going to go through it. We all go through it. COVID is changing. Like, estate in South Africa.
Yeah.
Right now. We can't say there's a home, family that does not know that you have to go through an estate, deceased estate process. So then why not acquire the knowledge? How should you do it? Because it affects you as a family so much.
You reckon it's more important than planning for funerals? Because we have funeral cover.
Yes, 100%.
We have life insurance,
and I'll tell you, earlier I mentioned I've administered estate from all races. I said that specifically for a reason.
Okay.
Because ngifuna ukwenza comparative analysis ngayo lento le from a racial demographic.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you must borrow good practices
100%.
sometimes. We've got the Jewish community. The Jewish community has a trust, one umbrella trust that covers the community from any mishaps. No one in the Jewish community is an orphan financially. Kukhona leyo trust leyo.
In the whole country.
In the whole country of South Africa.
I think there's 70,000 Jews. It helps that it's a smaller group, but it's still something
fairly
to learn.
100%.
They have one trust that covers all Jewish people in South Africa.
Right. This trust, how does it get funded? It inherits from the estates of each Jewish family. Mushona nje, uyi member of the Jewish community. Khona imali kufanele uyishiye for this trust, so that ayikho intandane financially in the Jewish community.
Including your own children.
Including your own children, njengoba usushonile manje. Exactly. So lento leyo might seem small, but it's so large in the way that you think. And because you're sharing in some way, it's got like a bit of a communist element to it.
Of course.
Because
people will never agree to that, but you're 100% correct.
Yeah. Because we know we're sharing our finances here, we will treat each other right. But because I know I'm behaving however I want with you. I can do whatever, which is what, has landed in this Dlamini case that we're going to talk about shortly. It's people who do whatever, because asihlangene financially anyway, inside the family. So I'm saying to you, Penno, ngithi mina kuwena, the Jewish community, lo 70,000 okhuluma ngawo, are behaving better than most houses, imndeni, that are in one singular house, yabantu abamnyama.
Yeah.
Yabo?
5-10 people.
Asikwazi ngisho ukuhlangana. We know society, life, circumstances is forcing us to share this one-bedroom house for generations, 5 generations. As you said, I saw one of your posts, my little sister sent it to me, where you say the family disintegrates by the 3rd, 4th generation.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
So, but in the family home, kuhlala yona lo 5 generations. Who has now abasangazwani? People are no longer getting along. So where are you going to get a whole group of abantu abamnyama doing a trust when they don't even get along in their own homes?
That's a deeper conversation. So 2 things. Number 1, we pay taxes.
Yeah.
And luckily I studied accounting and tax. I know there's estate duties that get paid.
Yes.
And as you speak about the Jewish trust, I'm wondering if our government, because my thinking would be, but government should have the same thing. We pay estate duties, we pay taxes while we're alive. Would this explain maybe our government having some responsibility in terms of social welfare?
Yeah.
Because you speak about not being an orphan. Yes, it's going to take 10 years for whatever reason for your estate to get wound up.
Which is bad.
But at least government, you'll get a grant, you can get a free house. So could we compare it or not really? Currently,
there is the Government Guardian Fund.
You must say it out loud, Baba. Zonke le imali zabo efana no ref. Government Guardian Fund.
Government Guardian Fund. But the Government Guardian Fund, how it works is if you pass away and you didn't, write a will, you didn't sign a will, you don't have a valid will as you pass away, and you have an heir that is below the age of 18, their inheritance goes there. The inheritance of a minor child, of a person who died without a will, doesn't go to the minor child. It goes to the government until they turn 18.
Do you know if government chows any of this money?
No. Why would they chow it?
Because it's our government, and they chow things, obviously. But they shouldn't be chowing it. It's meant to be kept in trust.
For children.
On behalf of children that don't have some kind of trustee to look after the money.
Precisely, because no estate planning was done in that instance. Now, as soon as the estate is administered, only after finalization of the estate, by the way, does that money get paid to the Guardian Fund. So there's an 18-month period where this under 18 child doesn't have access to money. This is why estate planning is important. Now, what I want to tell you about the Government Guardian Fund is they will, and they invest the money. There's a certain, I think it's about 9%. It's quite a bit of a return, yeah.
9% is very big in this country right now.
Yes, exactly. So I think it's I hope it's still 9%.
As long as it's by inflation or a bit more, it's a good investment.
And so, but then what happens is the guardians obviously will withdraw the money. So the kids can be raised, school fees or their living expenses. By the time they turn 18, in some instances, it doesn't even get to 18.
Sure.
It depends on how much the parent put in there. There's a high number of unclaimed funds in South Africa.
I wanted to say that there was a show on TV where I don't remember who was the host, but he was going around trying to find these families to be like, there's money your parents left, billions chilling.
It's billions, pen, and they invested. I want to know who is benefiting from the interest, let alone the capital amount that is not being fetched. But people really need to start looking into these unclaimed funds. Unfortunately, I haven't specialized in it, but when I had one of the legal clinic sessions in Soweto, I brought in a brother, a friend by the name of Moabi Liteho, and he works Moabi.
Liteho?
Yeah, Liteho.
Okay.
But apparently you pronounce it Diteho, but you spell it with an L. Yeah, he's Sutu.
It's Diteho, yeah.
Yeah, it's Diteho, yeah. Okay. So Moabi is a guardian fund principal. Because the guardian fund, there's a government one, and then there's a private sector one. Okay? The private sector one deals with all the pension benefits that accrue for minors. So what I'm saying here
minors?
Yes.
So only?
Yes, for minors only. So what I'm saying here is if you or I, we're working and we have a pension fund and, touch wood, we pass away before we take the pension out, that pension, if it's due to a minor child, a child under the age of 18.
Sorry, when you said minors, you mean children or people in the mining industry?
No, I mean children.
Oh, sorry.
Did you write M-I-N-E?
Oh, I thought it was private sector just for the mining industry. Or you meant for children?
For children, minor children.
Okay, sorry.
Right? No, it's okay. So remember the government guardian funds are coming from an estate where there is no will.
Yeah.
Now, what Moabi does as a principal is he will run a guardian fund in the private sector for funds coming from pension benefits.
Okay.
For children that are under the age, say the parent of that child passed away, and that fund makes the grandparent of the minor heir the guardian.
Okay.
So that guardian will then come with that minor child to this institution and say, I'm here now. I know my child had a pension and this pension has been paid to your guardian fund. My child needs such an amount every month. And they conduct what is called a means test to check what is the transport, what's the school fees, what are the living expenses. And we will at first pay to the institutions, and where we can't, we'll give the grandmother the money.
Okay.
As opposed to paying the lump sum in that way. So these are two institutions where children get our children. Mina, now, should we not be here on earth anymore?
Let me not search. Sorry. I wanted to ask the name of the private sector one. Please continue.
Please feel free. You can search on your phone. Don't worry.
No.
Yeah.
Please continue. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, colleague. All right. So this is where the children will go and the grandparents will take them, or whoever has been appointed as a guardian in terms of a will. Right. Now, that's the first point. The second one is the unclaimed funds. So people really need to go look into shares omkhulu. They were given shares, there's employee benefit shares, there's government, what do they call them? Government,
GPF?
No, it's not GPF, it's like money, but only the government can print it. I just forgot the term now.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of shares that our great-grandfathers and grandfathers and our fathers and our mothers, of course, had that people have not gone to claim. There's a thing called an astute search. A person can just go to a legal firm or a legal institution and ask, please, here's my ID number. Please do an astute search to see if I'm a beneficiary of any policy that my, predecessors had. And I never found out. You use an astute search for that. There is pension funds that are not claimed. Go to the places where your parents worked. Go find out. Even get to a point where you get a letter as confirmation that there are no funds here.
Sure.
But really do look for these funds. And then there's one that I wanted to tell you about. Your training. I think in terms of format, a road accident fund. But there it's specifically for train accidents. And a lot of South Africans don't know about it.
Give us all these funds, Baba. So money. Koni refi itimela.
It's for refi itimela.
Sifuna yonke commission, Baba. Mabe sebe claim la. Ukuthi Zola no Penrod put us on.
They put us on. Le is specifically for train accidents, and because people don't know about it and people have not claimed, and also because how many train accidents are there per annum? Those funds are sitting there. I guess the question I'd like to pose, into the universe is what is happening to those funds? Who is investing them and who is benefiting from that interest? Is there no way of borrowing from those funds so that we can create a fund for estate administration? Because the reason so many people are in trouble in their homes, in the communities, is because they are not administering estates. The reason for lack of estate administration is the cost and the ease of being able to carry on with your life after someone passes away in their house. A lot of people are living in houses owned by deceased people. And they're doing it because they're able to get away with it. But right now, it's not going so well for them. The reason for that is because those properties are finding themselves in some fraudulent activities, and then they end up being evicted from those homes. So now is not the time to relax and say, "Vele umkhulu kudala shona, umkhulu washona ngo-19 something, 1990 something. I've been living in Mkhulu's house. Nothing is wrong." Something is very wrong now.
I've got so much to say, and I'm trying to not catch feelings. So the first thing I'm going to say is I Blew It.
Yeah.
Which is a show that speaks on some of these monies that people got because they weren't trained financially. We don't have financial literacy. All these things about estate planning, tax, are things that we're meant to learn from primary school, high school, so that you're not caught unawares.
Agree.
So yeah, this train fund is something we're gonna have to look into. I think
we must find the name.
Yeah,
and then we'll just swap notes on it.
I'm annoyed by this astute search thing.
Yeah,
because if I'm a beneficiary somewhere linked to my ID number, these things should quickly flag when I have a credit card, savings account. You know, you'll get notifications from your banking app that you qualify for a loan. Why there's no proactive thing of whenever your ID or you get to of age, it's like you have benefits waiting for you instead of you having to search.
Instead of you having to be proactive about it.
There are asset managers, I can only imagine, that get that commission who maybe don't want that money to be claimed because they can use that money in various ways. Not illegally.
Yeah, no.
Assets under management means you can loan to people building malls, business people, etc.
Yeah, you control the liquidity.
Asisa.org.za is the one. And if you search unclaimed benefits in South Africa, all these websites come up. 88.56 billion is the total estimate of unclaimed assets held by financial institutions in South Africa. 88.56 billion.
I'm telling you, a lot of those billions are this train fund.
That's you think
because,
so?
People are not claiming it. Who is getting in a train accident in that way outside of people who are in a train accident? You know what I mean? It's a lot of money and it's not being used, and so it's growing. And can't we use the interest of these funds to help the people in the community who can't afford legal fees instead of expecting the legal fraternity to, provide services for lower or no cost at all? There's means and ways.
I see ref.co.za. As soon as I search Train Accident Fund South Africa, I see law firms. Train accident claims, Metro Rail and Trail accident claims, train accident. Yeah, we're gonna have to find this, but we'll put it in the comments. Or people will put it in the comments. I want to make this comment before we continue to it's 2 comments. The other one we probably won't get to, and that one is the deeper problems we have as black people. And the legacies of why we're here. Part of them being white people, the other one just being ourselves and a money system we just don't know. I don't know if we'll speak about that at all, but we can park it, and I'm putting it as a book note. The other one is not just the individual. There are so many different ways to add value in society. It's not that everyone should become a politician.
Yes.
Not that everyone must become a cadre and a chief. We don't all have to be entrepreneurs. Some of us that went to schools and have honors and masters and PhDs, this is some of the low-hanging fruit. To go and come together and go and do this aggressive searching and put together these packs and go find these families. Pro bono, maybe, like the work that you do, maybe. But also maybe just tell people, look, I put in this work and we need funding to assist us do the work. So when you get the money, it would be nice to get just a little thank you, or for anyone to contribute, because this work is going to change lives in real ways. Children inherit their parents' money, their grandparents' money. People can go and start businesses. People can invest. There's a huge positive ripple effect just this 88 billion going to find it. And in that, maybe even telling you, leave the money there. But at least now you know it. And maybe every year you can withdraw the dividends or whatever the case may be.
We get 2 pots.
Don't trigger me. Don't trigger me with the 2-pot. We'll discuss it on it. People are always like, Pen, make a video on the 2-pot system. And I'm like, because once I get in, I'm going to swear a lot of people.
Ayukhona umuntu engakhulumisa naye about the 2 pots. She's great at talking about it. Her name is Nonhlanhla Ncele. Noni, we call her Noni. And she's the founder of, I think, Esteemed, I think it's Esteemed Financial Services. She's been speaking a lot about it. She's been on radio talking about the 2-pot system, and she breaks it down so well. And I think mainly it's just you don't have to really take part in that activity. Action fashion le. Imali yakho le muthi kodwa kasingayilapho.
They make all of these things difficult for us that are educated. We're educated. I studied finance, accounting. But we struggle to understand these things. Now imagine
a layman.
Ordinary people, and then imagine our grandmothers and grandfathers. The other thing I wanted to mention earlier with the trust, the Jewish trust, is for people that are in the know, we keep speaking about the idea of a sovereign wealth fund. And I'm not sure if it's Norway or somewhere where the people, they get to live off the sovereign wealth fund. And when we speak nationalization, which triggers a lot of people, it's some of these things of, you spoke communism. I think that's why I wrote it down. We don't have to be poor as a nation, because as a nation, we're extremely wealthy. But there are people that have manufactured things in such a way that we don't get to indulge in the wealth of our nation, even though our mothers, fathers, grandparents broke their backs to build the wealth of this country.
A system.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go to the Dlamini. What?
Yeah. Okay.
Before you start, this was the reason you came here. Sorry, we've been speaking for an hour.
Wait, before we go to the reason I came here.
No problem.
Ngifuna ukukhuluma ngale ndaba I blew it. Yeah, but I think that it is, the duty of the Road Accident Fund as an institution. Look, they've done some great work recently. They've changed some things up. They're looking at not paying the whole lump sum anymore and paying monthly until either the person has passed away or, they are better. They don't need the money anymore. Of course, people are going to reject that notion.
Of course. And
they've put in, I think, some efforts in financial education, just not enough. I don't think it's enough. I belong to a network of women in financial planning called Lean In Women in Financial Planning.
Lean In?
Lean In Circle of Women in Financial Planning. It was founded by Didi and Amanda.
Nisfage phela nathi. Hey, you guys like excluding us gents.
It's not
sorry.
But ukhona uTT. Time. Yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of projects.
No problem.
But where we are is
Lean In
talking
Circle
about
of Women.
Lean In Circle of Women in Financial Planning.
In financial planning, Didi and Amanda.
Didi Nhle and Amanda John.
Okay.
And those women are empowering. They have events monthly. Sessions where they bring in a professional from all fields to come talk to these women. But most of the stuff you've seen me do is as a result of one of the people in that group getting a call. We need someone to come talk about trust. Oh, Zola Mbatha, she belongs in our circle. Zola is the perfect person, including Newzroom Afrika. The Newzroom Afrika interview, I got it because a lady by the name of Fuslindile, who owns a promotion company, I'll remember it I'll mention it because it's very important.
Promotions and maybe activations as well.
Yeah, I'll just check it out on my phone. And she said she got a call in December. Oh, we need Zola to come. We need someone to come talk to us about the Dlamini case. Sure. And she immediately called me, Zola, Bomb Creations. Ooh,
Bomb Creations.
I'm so relieved I remembered it.
No problem.
Seriously. But I remembered it. And Usis Law, she started her own cute camp. She's so cute. She started this company, Bomb Creations. She's networked. Enough in spaces in the media space to be able to shift a person's life, to be able to give someone a louder voice. And so they called her Slee, Sine case la, a landmark case, they're calling the Dlamini case, a milestone of note. We need someone to come talk to us about it who can simplify it for the people in the communities to understand, because it affects the people in the community the most. She says Zola Mbatha is the perfect person to come talk to you. Let me call her and find out if she's still in Joburg. So I don't spend December in Joburg.
Hey.
I go home. And so she's like, Zola, Sasekon. I'm like, yeah, why? She says, oh no, Newzroom Afrika needs you to come talk to them about the Dlamini case. I say, oh, okay. Send me the link for the case. Send it to me. Let me read it. The case is not published yet. I can't find the full case. There's quite a lot of summaries about it. And a lot of people have asked me for a copy of the judgment. And I don't know if it's published yet or not. But I'm gonna, if someone has it or knows, please can they just share it in the comments.
It was Dlamini versus Dlamini and others?
Yeah, Sylvia Dlamini versus Nomtandazo Dlamini and others.
Okay.
Your friend. And so...
Who's my friend?
Google.
Oh, Google is my everything. Is it this? S versus Dlamini, S versus Ladla and others?
No.
S versus Hubert? No.
Sylvia Dlamini.
Let me put
You
Sylvia.
must put Sylvia. It'll help you. Right. So I said, yeah, I'm still in Johannesburg. Oh, and what does it relate to? Family homes. I'm definitely there because of the experience I've seen in Soweto. I need to be able to explain to people why they are getting affected the way they're getting affected. Yeah, but so this circle of women empowers each other. And I love it. Now, this is where Noni also, she's also in that
Shout
circle.
out to the circle. Shout out to Slindile for
Yeah.
getting me the newsroom thing. Shout
Yeah.
out to Didi and Amanda.
Yeah.
And yeah, shout out to Noni Ngale. I'm going to research all these people.
Lovely. Thank you. Right. So why can't the Road Accident Fund go to circles like that? Bring these ladies and say, come teach our victims, our road accident victims about money. We are about to make a 1 million rand payment to Penwell Mlojwa. Investor kanjani, take into consideration the medical expenses he's about to face for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Teach him. Show him how he can grow this million so that it can not only cater for his medical expenses, but can also make him have a consolable life. Because 30% impairment. I don't think the Road Accident Fund is doing enough of that. And there's so many young, passionate professionals that are ready to go out there and provide financial, legal, and any other education that we can provide. Because it's just the way we made. Sifundile, we want to give back. We have the knowledge. But no one is tapping into that knowledge. And not everyone does that.
100%.
Yeah.
The first thing they're going to say and the main thing they're going to say is the same thing that afflicts football players and others.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys will be like, these people don't show up. They're not interested. So we need to try and resolve. Definitely they must do more. Your refs, your safas, whoever's in the music industry, because DJ also end up broke. And other celebrities. We must do a lot. But then we must also, in that conversation, speak about some of these people that don't want to attend.
Mindset.
I just got 5 million.
I had that conversation, no, Andile Ncube, Ubudu Andile Ncube. I ran into him at the Amatama Heritage event. That's why I mentioned Titi's name.
Shout out to Titi. I'm in their WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Well, I left it because it's busy, but I told Titi I'm going to rejoin soon.
Yeah, look, I met Titi through Amanda. Yeah, bo?
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, one invited to the Amatama, and then I met to Andile there. I really like him as a guy. I think he's great. And yeah, so Andile Ncube, then I ran into him there, and then I said to him, I had posted something, I think it was Katleho Mpela.
Okay.
I think he was selling, there was an article about him being a vehicle salesman.
Yes, I think in Pretoria.
Yeah, and then Noni is the one who actually put a screenshot and said, this is why I put a proposal for a PSL and asked them to come and teach the soccer players what to do with their incomes right now while they have it, so that they don't have to suffer. They can create generational wealth with the income they get. But I was rejected. They think I want to, I want to mfuni mali up. Now, I then took that screenshot and I tagged Andile and I said, I've got a group of women in the financial space that can teach soccer players about money.
Yeah.
Can you help me find Ubabu Ivan Cause? I said that. Can you help me find Ubabu Ivan Cause so that we can plan this? Because obviously you are Hlonisha in that industry. Andile reposted my post and that was it. So when I ran into him, I said, I'm that girl that posted that. And he said to you, I'll tell you something, Siswamine. It's definitely a valuable thought, but the circle is so tight. It's going to be very difficult to bring a group of passionate young black females to come talk to soccer players about saving their money. You can bring a group of black females. This is not Andile's words, these are mine.
Sure.
You can bring a group of females to make the party great, but you can't bring them to come and teach you about finances and law.
Sibabiza ngesitoko.
John
Vuligate.
Yeah, and women are not just istogo in that way. Si istogo nala.
Ak. I want to give a shout out to him since you mentioned him. Kakleho.
Yeah.
There were rumors at some point that he was earning between 300,000 and 500,000 a month as a football player. He went, I don't know if he said to Andile or who he said to, speaking about that he's now a vehicle salesman.
Yeah.
He said he tried businesses. I applaud him for that. He said he tried and it failed. Business is
entrepreneurship also.
It's another another beast on its own.
Yeah.
And he said it failed, and then someone told him, look, try car sales. And I appreciate that he could humble himself to do that.
To go and do it.
So part of the conversation when you guys do sit with the football players and everyone else is to say, yes, your body's damaged. Your arm doesn't work anymore. But you're not an invalid completely.
No.
Can you teach? Teaching maybe requires your mouth. Can you use your one arm to make artworks? Can you, a lot of these football players can go and teach at primary school, at high school, and maybe become school teachers.
Agreed.
That's better than sitting in a tavern and drowning your sorrows.
And ulokuthatha ithombe la sibuka.
Phela mina ngangishisa ngekhathi zami.
That's what my father calls it when my little brother plays rugby.
Yeah.
He
Shout
played
out to your brother.
Zola Mbatha. Zola Mbatha is gonna be the upcoming ngiyakutshela.
Okay, let's plug the brother in.
I did. Uboni live in the passion.
Shout out to Tonga.
But young Tonga has played for, I think it was the Blue Bulls. He's played for the Junior Springboks.
That's your brother?
Yeah, my little brother.
Brilliant.
He's going to Spain now.
Okay.
Yeah, to go play for the Spanish league. So, but anyway, the point I'm making outside of being such a proud sister is my dad said to him, if you don't get it right, Tonga, uzohlala ngaphansi kwesihlahla. And one day, ubona abafana bedlala irugby uzothi kwakuyimina along isikhathi sami because you didn't get it right.
Yeah.
So it's not just about talent; it's also about discipline. 100%. So you can't just go around being a benefit of your talent and refuse to have the discipline to protect it.
Yeah.
Yabo, khona abantu in America who insure their arms. I mean, I think Jennifer Lopez had insured her ass
many
for
years
millions.
Ago.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can't. That's grow wealth and not protect it. Yeah. So the Road Accident Fund, they do have a duty. Yes, I applaud the steps they're taking, but they have an even bigger duty to actually be proactive governance. Upenwell is about to get $1 million from us. Help him grow it. Not lento le ukuthi million last unyaka. Elokishini million last unyaka.
That million as well.
Penwell ufuna million
as a hypothetical. But this is a call to ref, a call to the train.
Yeah. The unclaimed funds,
the unclaimed benefits. It's a call to Abo I blew it.
Yeah.
To please try and find yourself, Noninlele, maybe Didi and Amanda, find Titimba, and all those professionals that are there that for now are willing to offer this freely.
And they are.
And then in time, not just freely, even in kind. It doesn't need to be money. There are so many ways we can benefit.
Yeah.
You going on platforms means you can get clients, paying clients, to do work with. So bringing them on things like, ref, some of these guys might be like, Siswami, I was taken by your education.
Yeah.
Please help me manage my funds.
Yeah.
Please be my attorney. I'm 100. willing to pay.
Yeah.
And in that way, there can be a benefit later. So
and Penwell, it's quite interesting that you'd mention about the clients. I'm not a practicing attorney.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because I'm in corporate, right? So it's just that I went to Soweto, I met a gentleman by the name of Kiabetu Malebu. Kiabetu Sticks Malebu.
I appreciate you for remembering names, by the way.
Yeah, no, I do. Names are very important.
Sticks Bunny?
Sticks Malebu.
Malebu.
Kiabetu Sticks Malebu, I think we all know, a lot of people know him from that Khumuto Diale case where they went to Orange Farm, Nontlantalax, and Batujula, Washon Umfana Waga Diale too. Khumuto, very sweet family. Ironically, in my office, his sister works there and we met and she's a very good friend of mine. But what I do know is, Ukiabetu, when I met him at a lunch, at a networking lunch. He came with Ntlantla Lux and Usisu Nontlantla, PSK. I call Usis Nontlantla. She had organized the lunch because Nhlanhla had stopped the looting at Maponya.
Yeah.
And he was running Soweto government. So she then organized this lunch and said, Zola, come to this lunch. I'm going to have these young boys from Soweto. Energy, I think it's going to be great now.
Yeah. Soweto Parliament.
Soweto Parliament, yeah.
Shout out to Nhlanhla Lux, that's my boy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that Uputu, yeah. Nhlanhla, he's such a brother. He's a great, great friend, great person. So when I met him, he was what made me ukuthi ngimnake, he was gentleman, stood up. And then when I was like Zola Mbatha. So he came with a gentleman called Kiabetu Sticks Malebo. Kiabetu is a young, passionate, very, very dedicated to community work. Yeah. He was running as an independent candidate at Pimville, in a ward in Pimville. And so when he was telling his story at that table, of course, we asked good. Sure. So I always like to notice the underdog.
Yeah.
I like that because lo muntu loyo has something amazing to show and tell. So I decided to conversate with him at that table, let abanye abantu banakane. And when he told me about what he does for the community, I said to him, you know what, Kiabetu, to help you with your campaign, I'll give you 2 hours for 3 months, 2 hours of my time for 3 months. Bring abokoko, but more importantly, I'm targeting the young ones. Abantwana abokoko. Let me teach them about wills, about estates, because I can see how they're getting affected. Knowledge before I even ran the clinic, before I was exposed to the things that are shocking me right now that I've seen. And I'll talk to them. You know that session, I think I only talked about the will 1, maybe 2 sessions. Ayibafika gogo siyezwa kuthiwa kontombazane yommeli ezalana ePhimvili mntanami ga they start hitting me with their problems. Nayi eviction notice. I'm getting kicked out of my house mntanami. How? Ngisathi ngilalela lokho kuqhamuka umkhulu angikwazi ukushunqisa impepho emzini wami. Umntanami lo phethe title deed usindisiwe akavumi ngishunqisa impepho emzini wami. Imagine, what does that have to do with law? So that's what Ukiabetu did. I decided to give him this time, and then I got consumed by the tears of the people in those halls. Ngaphelela kanjalo ke sengizwa indaba lezi khonenye maybe engizoxoxela yona, or 1 or 2, and so you then get to understand ukuthi the people in our communities are suffering. They are suffering. I understand the poverty. I understand they're not having money, but those people have fundamental problems.
Yes.
They are losing their homes. They're getting evicted from their properties because either ugogo usayinisiwe umfana wakhe, mhlambe wenza ongakofika ubaba uMuloto.
Yes.
Shout out to Babu Muloto, by the way. Sisengifunde kweni shout out.
Hey.
Babu Muloto and his work with Latgach and getting all those drug affected children and putting them in rehab and then giving us an update how they're doing. I last night saw that they're graduating from rehab. I think it's quite great the work he does. uNkulunkulu amvikele amnikeza amandla aqhubeke nomsebenzi wakhe. So
Ubaba Mloto, please plug him properly. He does drug rehab.
Tate Muloto, Latgach, Limpopo against drugs and gangsterism.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's.
Thank you.
That is. Yeah, no, he's doing a great job. He's. Yeah, no, lawyer Baba, lawyer. Oh, Baba. What makes me respect him and like him so much is that he's not just someone who's coming. Who's the mothers call him, by the way. Ufonela bo mama.
Yeah.
When he gets there, he doesn't treat those kids like drug addicts, no matter how bad they're looking. He shouts, yes, but he says "mwanaka." And he treats them like his children. And for that, I think uNkulunkulu makamnikeze ngempela ibusisa aqhubeke. So now what I'm saying is kukhona abantwana abenza ama drugs basayinisa ogogo amaphepha penal ama transfer documents so that ugogo esathi uyihlalele sitting room lakhe uphuza itiye, next thing usheriff uyafika egateini uzomseva ngo30 days. Ugogo uzoseva ngo30 days endlini aphile kuyona
her whole life.
She was a kid.
Yeah.
Uzoyapi. And so a lot of abogogo bethu are ending up homeless. Yabo. There's many other reasons over and above abantwana abenza ama drugs. Khona nalama fraudulent activities. Most of the fraudulent activities happen from the estates process. Bayahlala abantu with unadministered estates because it's so costly. To administer an estate is 3.5% plus VAT.
3.5% of the value.
Of the value of the estate. The total value of the estate before deductions.
Plus
VAT.
Plus VAT at 15%.
Yeah, at 15%.
Yeah, I remember we used to do estate duty planning. It was part of our tax, what.
Yeah.
And when people start doing the numbers, you start realizing, we say, our government wants everything, even when we're dead, we're still being taxed.
Leo Maleo goes to legal practitioners or financial practitioners, whoever is the executor. In Malaya, with government deal estate duty you were talking about. So estate duty gives you 3.5 million abatement. In other words, it discount.
Sure.
Anything above 3.5 million is taxed at 20%. And if your estate is valued above 20 million, your estate duty percentage becomes 25%. So, estate here 100 million, how much the government is getting? Why can't those funds be put into a pro bono space? Because currently in South Africa, there isn't an institution that's administering estates for free.
You're taking me back to school now. I wish I could zero in on this, but we'll do it another time.
We'll do it another
this needs to
time.
be discussed again for people to understand, but this is probably where the one-on-ones and the breaking down. What's the value of your estate? You spoke about the letter of authority and executorship. 250,000. Now we're speaking 3.5% and VAT.
Yeah.
If your estate is under 3.5 million, it's tax-free, over and above 20%, above 20 million, 25%. You can't last
100.
So
but you quoted so well.
Anyways.
That's great. So, yeah. Tell me, I can go on and on about fiduciary services panel. Tell me what you want us to talk about.
Let's shut it down. Let's take 5 seconds to breathe. In the last 30 minutes, number one, a brief summary of what the Dlamini case was about.
Yeah, okay.
And number two, the non-financial, arguably non-political problems that lead to black people having all these political, financial issues, families fighting, why we're still poor, undereducated. Yeah, those, maybe some people call them spiritual, maybe that were inherited. If we were to fix this, we can then put our trust together. If we were to fix this, those things. So we may not get to that. Let's do the Dlamini case.
Right.
All this time later, we're now starting officially on why you're here. Thank you so much, Sis Zola Mbatha. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Penwell Mlotshwa.
Dlamini case.
Yeah, Dlamini case. But Penwell, before we finish today, I want to talk to you about the family structure, the family trust structure. Okay? So let me tell you about the Dlamini case right now. Okay?
No. Do the family structure if it's very important for you.
It's very important for me,
We can always discuss that on another platform.
Yeah.
Whatever's burning in your soul, let's maybe get that out, because we've mentioned that we need to speak about it.
Yeah.
If not today, we'll do it another time.
Okay. Thank
you. Or people can go and refer to the Newzroom Afrika interview if we don't cover it today.
Okay, perfect.
Sure.
And that other place I told you about as well.
Right.
So here is what I wanted to say to you. So, Nyaklonipa, okay?
Me as an individual?
Yeah, you as an individual.
Oh, ngiyabonga.
Nyaklonipa.
I'm
laying the foundation.
I know where this is going.
Asivalela.
Okay, Zola, go for it. Damn.
Penal. Yeah, so Penal, mina ngintombazane yomZulu. I'm very proud of the fact that ngikhuliswe kwaZulu by a Zulu dad and a Swati mom. And besmula ekhaya, usiko lasekhaya ukumula. In other words, we needed to stay virgins until the age of 21 and then celebrate the fact that we stayed virgins. Whatever it means to my father and whatever it means to us as girls. My father had 4 daughters and 1 son, Utonga.
Shout out to your father.
Right?
I've never heard anyone use the term ukumula.
Yeah.
Sazu memulo, that coming of age at 21. But ukumula is the term I'm hearing for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, ukumula phela khamselana no memula. Like my little sister, so when memulo wakhe in a couple of months.
Congrats to her.
Yeah. And she's 23. Hey. So anyway, the reason I'm giving you this background, outside of being proud of my structure, is I did my best to grow up ngiphathe kahle, to behave the way my parents taught me, to behave the way my culture and my religion, coaches me to behave. I thought, that I was smart enough to navigate life to a point where it's comfortable. But of course, life doesn't work like that. Yabo. And so one of the things that is in Patagabi about myself, I don't generally take part in regret, because it's useless. But and it's becoming a single mom. Yabo, I went to varsity to go get an LLB degree, and I did. I refused to date. I refused to date so much that my dad said, "Hey, mntana msifuna ukukhuluma nawe la. Yazi ukuthi umungekho, umuthanda abantu intombazane, sakubona ukuthi awujoli. If uthanda amantombazane, hey, kuzoba nzima nyana." Yeah, I loved it. I was like, well, I was not expecting that conversation. He drove all the way. I was staying in Reyes, in varsity.
I was worried about you being lesbian.
Yabo nje, mekunjalo. Hey, what's izandla? Yeah, I was like, where does that come from?
That's cute.
Hey, Baba, I just want to finish my degree.
Yeah.
Because I tried this dating thing. It didn't work out. It doesn't work out when you insist on staying a virgin, this dating thing.
Yeah, generally.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Generally.
So let me study, yabo. So when I finished, I got the LLB degree. And then I was now in final year when I met the person I have kids with, right? I gave him the skeleton of how my fairy tale vision of a relationship is. I want this. I'd like to be treated like this, and I'm very scared of being cheated on. I'm scared of this and whatnot and whatnot. And at the end of that 5-year period, I had 2 boys with him, and we broke up while I was pregnant with the second baby. And his summary to me as the relationship was ending was, you gave me the footprint of how to, pretend to you and how to break your heart. Because he actually played out my worst case scenario. But that's fine. That's his journey. It's got nothing to do with me. Now, where I'm going again with this personal background is, Mengi Tetisa, you must self-reflect. I say, I shouldn't have had kids now. I shouldn't have been fooled by the things he was doing because they were exactly what I had told him. I should have done better. This is me. I'm not saying I'm correct or wrong. This is me.
Personal accountability.
Yeah. Now, with all of that pain and history, because it's a pain to be a single mom when it's something you never intended on being. It's a pain as foolish as it was to be the single mom, but it is still a pain. Noma wrong, still I feel it. So as Noma you were naughty, don't drink and drive. But even if you were naughty and you had alcohol and you drove and you crashed, you're still gonna feel the pain of the crash.
Painful.
Just because it was wrong doesn't mean the pain is not gonna come. So but single mom. Now the last thing, as I'm reflecting and feeling this pain, I would need is the person I had these kids with and it didn't work out, to use a platform I don't have access to and say, this and this and this is how incorrect my baby mama is. And as a result, I'm not saying that's what you said. I'm saying that's the pain you touched, you invoked when you boldly stated, my baby mama is wrong, therefore, ngiyapumala. Okay? I'm not going to go into details. It's your story. It's not mine. This is my painful story. And as a person, oklonipayo, ngafunda leyo nto leyo, and that pain ngayizwa futhi. Yabo. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you. Now, with that being said, I have legal solutions to what you stated. From how I understand, you can correct me, you stated, if I'm being deprived of visitation rights or access to my child, then I'm not going to be giving financial support. I will catch up with the financial support later when my child comes to me. And I disagree with that holistically for 2 reasons. Reason number 1 is, there is a matter, I actually spoke to my friend, she's an attorney, and she deals with family law. L. Jacobs, Laurentia Jacobs. Laurentia Jacobs, this morning. I said to her, please can you talk to me about how Penwell can gain access to his children? She says there's 2 processes. The one is a high court. There goes that high court. There goes that high court. The one is a high court and family advocate. Each high court has a family advocate office across from that court where people can go and draw up parenting plans. It's supervised. There's professionals that are involved in the whole process. Once the parenting plan is there, then they take it over to the building that is the high court and they make it a formal court order. Anyone who goes against it is obviously breaking law. That's the one. She says, I'm not a fan of it because it takes a while. The one I'm a fan of is the children's court. The children's court one is more simple because there's a form. She says, I'll email it to you because I'm coming to talk to you.
No problem.
So she says, I'll email it to you tomorrow. The reason for this is why I prefer that one It's because you just simply you can get an attorney or you can DIY it. You go to the children's court. They are sitting at the local magistrate's court. Each local magistrate court has a children's court in it. You get this form, you fill it in, and you get a date. A date that takes about 4 weeks.
Sure.
Years of penal. After 4 weeks, you go there, you stand in front of the presiding officer, and you plead your case. You say, this is the ngifuna abantwana bami beze egoli. She's so caught up in her emotions that she's not seeing the bigger picture. Yoguti, it benefits my children when I'm in their lives. Because women do. They get caught up in the heartache. So much that they use it as istwepu to the dad. And sometimes as they hit the dad, they hit the child. Yeah. And it's like the rage and anger and resentment and whatever the emotions are blind them so much that they carry on with this action, and it's wrong. Stop it to hurt men that hurt you, because once a man has walked out of your life, he doesn't care so much, you can't hurt him. So the only person you're hurting really is your child. So stop that nonsense. So mufiga lapaya ufige ubachele, this is the case. I'm in Johannesburg, my children are in KZN or Cape Town, whatever the case may be. And she says the reason I love that process is because even at that first date, they can give you an interim order. An interim order is an order that's temporary. That's going to be made a final order later or amended in its nature. They give you an interim order right there, and they say, starting this coming week, Penwell is going to have 4 days with his kids.
Sure.
Next year, 3 years from now, in 2 weeks. Yabo. So that's process number 1, which is the legal process. Now, sometimes, available mama can be very intense. They're engineering. Distraction. Hey, yeah, I know it. Yabo. And I know it because I've seen it, but I also know it because I felt pain and I could have gone that way. Yeah. I have a very strong praying mother.
Shout out to your mom.
I'm alive.
Your Swati mom.
Yeah, my Swati mom. Yeah, I'm alive. I'm here for you. You don't have to carry the resentment and anger. Just reflect. And they're great with their great grandparents. Now, the second reason I'm having this discussion with you is there is a concept called a family trust, okay? You, Penwell, have the ability to found this trust, to be a founder of it, where we draft what is called a trust deed and we fill in some forms, acceptance of your duty as a founder and trustee, and we appoint people to assist you. So you are a founder, you are also a trustee, and the act says minimum 2 trustees. So it's you, or even your baby mama. Because what I'm trying to get to here is, as people, we must understand each other. Yes, the relationship didn't work out. Polani, move on. Okay, now that the relationship hasn't worked out, what are the emotions? Okay, usakwatil, I'll give you some time, but also keep in mind, those children don't have all the time. We keep giving each other.
Sure.
Cool. Right. Now, when you finished getting over the emotional turmoil, come to your logical, because it's hlakanphile here. Intelligence. Come to a point where you don't have to be friends, you don't have to bride together, you don't have to hang out, but you can be trustees of a trust where the children you had together are beneficiaries.
Correct.
Right? It's just an office. You don't even have to hold meetings. It's just a tool you use to protect whatever it is that you're building for the benefit of the beneficiary. Children. Exactly. So, baby mama lo osaphatheke ngiyabonga excuse phela how.
Babili, by the way.
Yeah?
Babili.
Okay, Babil?
Yeah.
So, baby mama laba basaphatheke kabi. This is me giving them the olive branch.
Sure.
If abakokwazi ukwehlisa imoya kwamanje, abakhumbule lento engiqeda ukisho ukuthi uswazi laba lishaya uPenwell lishaya ingane zabo.
Correct.
Abavumi ukuba ama trustees nawe. We draft. I will do it. I'll do it for you, Penwell.
Hey,
I won't even charge you.
On camera.
And you are the founder. She is the trustee. You are the trustee. The child or 2 children are the beneficiaries. We register it, we get a letter of authority, we open a trust account, we file those documents. We digitize them in case we lose the originals, we file the originals, and we put them away in a folder. Each time we put an asset in the trust, we keep putting it in this file, whether digital or the physical file. We start off with an account that has money in it. So if mama bathathi imali zabantwana bayothenga izinto ezibizayo, put it in the trust. Don't give them access to that account. Even as you open the account, don't even make them a trustee. But do use the structure because it exists, and it exists to benefit the children where humans fail them. Yeah. So
thank you. Jeez, I'm going to have to take it all the way back. But before I do, a rough estimate for people that are going to be watching of the cost of the family trust, because they might be like, I think I need that.
I need the structure. Well, look, I think it's about 10K.
10,000.
Yeah, to just register it. But there's two types of ways to get this trust done. There's your financial institutions, your banks, your fiduciary companies. Those will charge you a percentage of how much you intend on putting in that trust, which then equates to quite a high cost, which then makes people not go through that process. So I'm more for the DIY route.
10,000.
Get your own trust, register a once-off fee, and then you have a tax practitioner that you use. Are you practicing? I heard you say you study tax.
No, I'm not practicing at all.
Do you intend on going back to practice?
Zero.
Go party.
It's a story for another day.
Okay, we'll take a
Don't touch my pains. No, I'm kidding. I wasn't called for that type of work. I'm doing what I think I'm more called for.
Yeah, I get you. I hear you. Right. So the second route, we all have tax practitioners because we want to be tax compliant. So give your tax practitioner your letter of authority and let them just do the annual tax of it. Sure. If you don't invest monies in it and it doesn't earn an income, your tax returns will most probably come back as null. It's when you are starting to generate an income in your trust that it's taxed, and trusts are taxed at quite a high tax, 45%.
It's 45 now. Yeah, let's not talk about trust. I was just asking for interest. So you can go through the banks, etc. They charge a percentage of how much is in there. Yeah. And then if you do it yourself,
and an annual fee.
An
annual fee.
And then with
if you DIY,
you're looking at minimum about 10,000.
10,000 to register it. Yeah, could be more.
And then your income is taxed at 45%.
Don't generate an income. Just put capital assets in there. Put a house and cars.
We'll unpack trust because I think those are your passion.
Yeah.
That's your passion talk.
We'll
have to do that maybe
I run workshops on trusts.
Yeah, maybe we'll do an hour of that, and I'll raise all my issues with trusts.
Okay, perfect.
And then you'll counter them.
Yeah, of course.
In that. I just wanted to ask that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that solution for myself and other. It's not just for families that are broken up, for people to know. Even if your family is intact, you can set up a family trust for the benefit of your kids.
100%. Thank you. You're right about that,
I'm going to start off by apologizing for your pain. It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
We've made so many mistakes just as a generation and even generations before, but Tina. And I have currently put it down as we have too much freedom.
Yeah.
Other people can say other things, but our ability to get into an intimate relationship and get out is literally a Friday night and a Saturday morning. Next thing, we're too free. Back in the day, it was more difficult. I could only touch you if our families have met.
Yeah.
I could only leave you if our families both agree.
True.
Today, in Friday night, Chwala
is all it takes.
Saturday morning, it was nice knowing you. I don't even remember your name. In a few weeks, you're like, listen, we've got a situation. We have too much freedom, and we need to have a conversation about that.
Agreed.
All of us. That's the first thing. The second thing is I have a thing about single moms, and I didn't want you to answer the question, but I will say this. I hope you are a single mother because the father's not present every day. And I do hope that he's involved in the children's lives in some way. Financially, we are babona, etc. And if that's the case, I generally don't call those women single mothers.
I agree with it.
But that's not important. What's important is I hope he's involved in some way, regardless of what he said.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that he was honest. It was late, but he was honest. Many other guys, you'll rack your brain trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah, what was it mean?
Does like, actually, I was lying, I was pretending. Because I'm sorry I misused the stuff you told me in
100
confidence.
Agreed.
But if he's involved in the boys' lives in some way, and not just him, his whole family, because I tell women this as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes not just about the dad. He could be stagwa, useless.
Yeah.
But he's got a family, and maybe his father can help, his mom can help. So if he or his family are involved, I appreciate that. And if not, I hope we can find a solution.
Okay, I
Shout out
appreciate
to
that.
your family and their support to you as well.
100.
That's your pain, and I'm sorry that my telling my story triggered that.
Yeah, no, it's
And I can only you're not the only one.
Yeah.
The amount of vile DMs, comments from women I got.
DMs.
I have an ability, luckily, with my experience, to see when people are projecting and to see when people are miseducated and they're attacking me because Abang, it's their projection.
Yeah, I agree.
Fuck you. It's because guys like you just fuck girls. They're like, oh, you're not talking about me. that did something that you're taking out on
Those
me.
are the triggers I was
100%.
telling you about. Yeah,
I'm lucky that I can pick that up. Many other people cannot.
Wouldn't and internalize. Yeah.
So I do apologize for triggering you.
Look, sorry, ngiyabonga panel. I don't think it's okay ukuthi uphoqwe uthuke and whatnot because everyone has their own journey really. Umuntu nomuntu unendlela yakhe. And also, mina it's okay mfethu. Ngajwayela lento le ukuthi it's life. I think omama laba mhlambe oneyingane nabo.
Yeah.
Ngoba kukhona obaba aba-comment. As much as you got DMs, there's a lot of males who commented to indirectly bash your baby mamas because of their own projections.
100%.
So ibona-ke mhlawumbe ungaxolisa kubona. Mina ngi-right. In relation to the family, but I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate it. In relation to the family, I like the way you think, nalindlela okhuluma ngayo panel, because it's good. It's for a whole family of the father's side to be involved in the raising of the children. Unfortunately, for my kids, abeko, they all passed away, and also it just speaks to why I think single parenthood is so prominent in the Black community. You know, our history. But we'll talk about
No problem.
that.
But thank you for sharing. I mean, as much as Young Tetisa, which I appreciate, comes from a place of love, you're also sharing your story. And I'm happy for us to close on this because we've got like 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
I've made a lot of videos
Yeah.
online and I don't expect anyone to have ever seen them.
Okay.
That's the other thing I learned. People will see my Newzroom Afrika clip and it's a short clip.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
People will see a Twitter post and it's the first time you're ever hearing and you're like, no, there's something missing in this story.
Yeah, true.
Other people that have been watching will tell you, but this guy's got like 15 videos that he's made over the years. It's just you've never seen them and that's okay. But it's also a reminder for me why you must keep telling your story. There's someone who's bumping into it for the very first time. And all the questions they're asking, you can then refer and other people can then,
Yeah, you're right.
I've got 7 children. You are lucky. I'm going to give a shout out to him. My son is here supporting me.
The cuteness.
He's my firstborn son.
Oh, okay.
I've got 7 children from 5 mothers.
Okay.
Right? And people are allowed to judge me. I don't mind.
Okay.
With that being said, 3 of the mothers we co-parent healthily.
Okay.
I've tried to emphasize that. When people are emotional, all of that, they ignore it.
Yeah.
I co-parent healthily with 3 mothers. I have a problem with 2 mothers.
Yeah.
Right? The problem that we have. And of the 2 mothers, the one mother, it's been an 11-year fight. The other one, it's only been 1 year. So I also, people won't hear that when they're emotional and they're angry.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm about 5. Yeah, and you're like, okay, you missed it and it's okay.
Yeah, it's hard.
3 moms, we're co-parenting healthily. These kids, Unkunzi and his sister Africa, are visiting me over the festive.
Okay.
They're based in Brazil.
Okay.
We're co-parenting healthily with the mom.
Lovely.
2 other mothers, co-parenting healthily as well. I'll start with the one of 1 year.
Okay.
We've had a fight in the past regarding, because we've got 2 kids.
Oh, okay.
My son, who was being raised by ugogo,
Yeah.
I didn't approve of it because mina no mama besihlala eGoli. Why ingane ihlala no gogo?
Okay.
Not important.
Fair.
We went for mediation, etc.
Yeah.
That sorted itself out. I don't mind.
Okay, that's interesting.
The issue started last year where it was meant to be the first time I take my 2 kids to visit me in Joburg.
Yes.
And then she pulled a stunt. And I was like, I've got experience in this. I'm going straight to the courts. We went to the courts. She lied, etc. We're here now. She unfortunately becomes collateral damage because I've got 11 years experience with another lady. And I'm like, I don't want to go through another 11 years.
11 years, yeah.
The bigger problem is this mom of 11 years.
Okay.
I'm speaking on her behalf and I apologize. She can say he's talking shit, he's lying. I'm sorry.
Does she have access to platforms
I
be
think
able to defend herself?
I think everyone has access to platforms. It's up to them whether they want to or not. And
Use it, okay.
I can't force them to be like, yo, I dare her to say. She doesn't have to.
Yeah, no, she mustn't.
But in the same
she
breath,
mustn't.
I will not tell my story.
Oh, yeah,
just
true.
because.
That's
As much
fair,
as I get attacked, we'd like to hear the moms. That's okay. I'd also like to hear the moms.
Okay.
But this is not me saying they must go and speak
Yeah.
on platforms. They can take me to court.
Yeah,
they are free to do that. They can keep it private.
Presiding officer,
I really don't mind, by the way. I think that lady had intentions with me that she never vocalized. And when things didn't work out, this is an assumption. This is what I'm saying. Speaking on her behalf.
It's not an assumption. She doesn't need to vocalize the intention. By virtue of borrowing you her womb, she obviously sees a future with you.
So this is where the videos come in. Okay. Because in the videos I explained that myself and her had meetings around conception. We sat like this. Zola Mbatha sibe nengane. This is my situation. She met me, I already had a child, and we agreed verbally. Which she can lie about. She can be like, that has always been my story. Even when our families sat together. At the time I told her, I can't be in a relationship. This is my situation. She's like, I don't want to be in a relationship with you, but I'd like to have a child with you. This is why I'm saying I can only assume she had intentions, because once the baby came, the story changed. And I look like a boy who hambe kamba manga to girls, right?
And you're not.
We sat with the families. One of the things her mom said, and her mom would lie in an affidavit later saying our families never sat, of which they did, right? This is not me blasting them. I'm just trying to explain that this thing gets so messy. This is why I'm saying black family legacies. This is not money. It's not
it's got nothing to do with monetary value, liquidity,
wealth,
nothing.
These are things where you have to try and figure out what's going on spiritually, genetically, that we're here, where Umama's like, there was no family meeting. I'm like, but my mom, my brother, my siblings, they were there though. Hi, mama. The mom said in that meeting, when a penwell, do you think a woman would have your child engafuni ukuthi mhlambe nishado or whatever? I'm like, but mama, I spoke to her. She looked down. I was like,
got that,
So, anyways, I don't want to go into the details because it's very detailed. Like I said, it's an 11-year fight.
Look, I just want to put this one-liner there, Uguti. A lot of the times, women make the mistakes of thinking they can change a man,
100%.
And they think once ingani figure, he'll be so softened.
100%.
And that's a very bad mistake to make.
100%. We need to warn young girls of those things as well.
Don't think like that. They don't change.
I've got three daughters. I need to really nail that into their heads as well.
Lovely.
I was on the part where the family sat and we'd split and she'd go on and get married.
Oh, okay.
I was very happy for her. Whenever I'd say I was happy for her, she'd get angry. So I was like, okay.
Now you can get happy for me.
Happy for me. She has a child with the husband.
Okay, so she's moved on.
They married for 2 years, they get divorced.
Oh, okay.
He's now being denied access to his child.
Ooh.
Unlike me, because I've been doing a lot of DIY, he's probably spent tens, if not hundreds of thousands, back and forth fighting to see his child. While this lady lies and what, he has this comfort of he can speak to me and be like, I was with this lady watching her lie about you. And these things. Because when he came into her life, he was taking care of my child. When they divorced, he'd speak to me. And he'd be like, well, ubungondli. I'm like, no, but na proof. He's like, no ways. This woman said, when ubungondli. I'm like, oh, snap. That's crazy. That's when I learned that even things like my e-wallet, don't send them. Send an EFT so that it's very easy to show I was sending money here. These become things that we're forced to do now. Keeping track record, that's lame.
Normal living.
The other thing is go shopping with your kids so that mom can say anything. You're like, oh, Baba bought me this t-shirt. I was with him in the shop. So, because mothers will get money, not tell the kids where the money came from. And the kids are like, my mom did everything. You're like, this is not a true story.
That's why I've got
a lot of traumas.
It is. I'm sorry you've been going through some tough things also.
Please don't
as a human being.
I've got too much experience. I have too much patience. So much love for moms and dads because I know how emotional this is. As much as I'm in it, I have an ability to get out. Watching people throw things at me. Fuck you, she must never show you the kids. These women deserve. I get all of it. It's like, I know why you're hurt. I'm going to get myself out and just watch and be like, I'm sorry. Even though I'm also in pain.
And you're a human being.
With this mom in particular, we went from the Randburg Magistrates Court, the Children's Court. We went to the Family Advocate in Joburg, opposite the High Court. We've been to Pretoria, the High Court, which has the Children's Court in it. We've been to the Family Advocate in Pretoria. We've been to Newcastle.
With the 11-year...
This is the 11-year story.
Newcastle,
We've been to the Newcastle
High Court.
Family Advocate. Newcastle doesn't have, I don't know if it has a high court, but there's a magistrate's court. The children's court is next to it.
Yeah.
There might be a high court, I'm not sure. But the family advocate, I think, is next to the magistrate's court. She's moved, she's lied, she's, I've been patient. At the Randburg magistrate's court, there was a time when she didn't show up 4 times. And at some point, I asked the magistrate, should we not maybe issue a warrant of arrest for her to appear, not to be arrested?
Yeah, to appear, yeah.
No, the best thing to do is maybe take this to the high court. They're kicking the can down.
Yeah.
At the high court, they're like, look, maybe get a lawyer. I'll give her kudos that she's got patience, maybe support from her family. These may be the reasons why she doesn't want to speak on platforms.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but she's free to. She can also take me to a court and say, this guy is defaming me. She's free to be like, he's lying on a platform.
Okay.
I've never posted her face.
Yeah.
I've never mentioned her name. I'm considerate of all these things because it's not about her. It's about the child that I'm trying to kind of situation.
Okay, 11 years unalengane yodwa.
Ingane yodwa.
Intombazane noma umfana? Umfana.
Umfana, yes. The last time I saw them was at the Family Advocate in 2024. So it's still an ongoing. Hopefully umfana uyakhula, but there's these bookmarks. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
In whatever damage we've caused, both of us in this.
Yes.
That is like, but I remember my father fighting.
I remember
maybe
seeing him in
making
court.
videos. He didn't just disappear.
Yeah.
He's like, but where?
Yeah,
I didn't see any effort. Maybe I can judge you. You shouldn't have spoken about the story online. You shouldn't have done this. He can judge me.
Yeah.
But I'll be like, I did what I thought was best for you, considering.
At that time.
I've been to the High Court, by the way, as well, in Joburg.
Imagine.
Regarding specifically these kids in Brazil. They're in Brazil thanks to a court order, not because I consented. I consented to them living in China, not in Brazil. And the judge was very fair, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay.
He listened to me. I was representing myself. She had a two-people lawyer team because she wasn't in the country
Senior
at the time.
and junior. Mm-hmm.
And he said, look, I fully hear everything you're saying. My only issue is you don't live with any of your other kids.
Yeah.
So just on fairness, and because they've been living with their mom for the last 4 years, even though they lived with you for 8 years, let's just keep that consistency. But I'm going to make sure that you have access to your kids. Yeah. You can see them anytime. You can speak to them. And I was like, I'm losing this case.
Yeah.
But it's not because the judge is saying you don't deserve to live with the kids. He's trying to be like, nah, so I was like, I could appeal but I was like, for the betterment of the kids, as you saw my son, I see my kids, we're happy, we're healthy.
Yeah.
So you lose certain battles to win the war.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And you must take it. Because I don't have that resentment of some kombis. I don't have that. I want my kids to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm giving you this entire thing and it's a percentage summary.
Yeah.
Number one, because I didn't want to disturb the process you were giving, because it's important not just for me, for everyone to know.
Yeah.
There is the family advocate. There is the children's court. There is the high court. You may need money. You may need to go for counseling.
Yes,
I've sat with an amazing lady, Utandi Domingo.
Okay.
And part of the stuff we spoke about was, and one of the things I said was, we can go to the courts.
Yeah.
By the way, I've got 3 parenting plans with the mom who are 11 years.
11
that
years.
She's violated.
That's been made a court order.
There have been 3 sets of police that refused to arrest her. I think Babe Sabanji just wrongful arrest, etc. And also, I wouldn't want her to be arrested. That's not why I'm doing it. I just want to see my son.
Yeah.
How does that benefit me?
Yeah.
Because
Your son.
I'm not angry. I don't want her to suffer. I just want to see my son. And I'd like my son, I'd like her to not have that type of power.
Yeah.
If he could be sent to boarding school, that would be best. Then I see him at school.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
And you are unable to get a court order that, that forces her hand.
To do what?
To take the child to boarding school.
Oh, we can look into that maybe.
Yeah?
Because this is also something I've been thinking about just recently.
Okay.
People are in pain.
A lot.
Men, women. And their pain manifests in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky that my life is beyond being stuck in business failure, relationship failure, being attacked on social media. I don't mind because I'm constantly working on myself.
Okay.
But I recognize that other people, for whatever reason, are still in pain. Yeah. This lady was in pain, similar situation. The father left her during pregnancy. And she said it took her 6 months. She prayed on it. You spoke about your mom. And I'm like, what takes you 6 months to bounce back? Another woman takes 6 years.
Yes.
Another woman takes 16 years.
Forever.
And in that time, I could get a court order, but she's still in pain. And we don't know what that does to my child.
Yeah.
I take the kid, on every alternate weekend and on holidays, but she's still angry.
Yeah.
And in some ways, my child is still not developing okay because the mom is not okay. And when I said what I said, which was, I think it's 3-4 months old now, that I'm not going to maintain my kids, I'm speaking 11 years versus 3 months. And in my 3 months, everyone's going crazy. Oh, what do you mean you won't maintain? I'm like, but when I was crying, who the fuck cares? Now that I'm saying I won't maintain, let's attack Penway. I'm like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
But it's a reminder of how society works.
I don't also think the attacks were necessarily for you, Penwell. I think it was the men that are agreeing and inserting their own personal stories that don't have the history you are detailing right now. That just come with roughness. Kuluma ngecaliber yamadoda ababulala abantu besifazane. We're talking about men when that guy who went and killed a child and his woman, abati vele she went and cheated. They accepted it. Labo, same men came into your story and they inserted themselves and their opinions nowhere close to the same spirit at which you've just explained.
Correct.
And then they were triggering the women who are also watching.
Correct.
And that's the trick about public platforms. It's not an easy thing, yeah. No, Ngiyakuza, and I appreciate you detailing that story, especially now. Because I came at you and legal processes, and you brought me into your confidence. I appreciate that.
Both of them.
Yeah.
My biggest wish, not even seeing my kids, I'll say this.
Now
it's not even seeing my kids.
Yeah. Abazali, the Children's Act states you are charged with the obligation to act in the best interest of the child, even if it pains you. Even if it means letting them go to Brazil and you don't see them every day because wow, the education abazobuya, for example, I'm not doing education comparison. You are charged with the duty to act in the best interest of the child. So you must look at yourself as a father, as a mother. I am now in this pandemic because as a Bantu Abamnyama, and we'll talk about it one day, see in a pandemic of single parenthood. We are not indoctrinated with the desire to marry. As shadi, siya jola, siya hlangana. We meet each other and we don't think about the consequences of it in the long run. It's okay. Don't waste too much time on regrets. Act in the best interest of the child. Also, remember phela ukuthi if wena wenza into ebuhlungu kwingane yakho, leyo nto leyo izokwehlela kuyona futhi leyo ngane leyo. You are the one who's taking steps and actions that are detrimental to this child because you caught in your emotions, and at a later stage your child has suffered from trauma. And also, while the other party you harming was crying, sengizofaka iBhayibheli lithi isono sobaba sehlela kwingane yakhe. Inyembezi is not something that's free. So umama wengane zakho omama beingane zakho mebekukhalisile, they must know those tears are not free just because you didn't marry them. Those are not free tears. You also someone's child. Nabo le ngane abayiphethe abayidedele phela, abayidedele. Those children did not ask for the heartache. They didn't ask for the lack of marriage. Abayidedele ingane. Kube izona eyishoyo ukuthi angifuni ubaba this year. Angabe umuntu wesifazane kube uyena oshoyo. Take it easy. Kwehlisa umoya. Why? Because we are obligated to act in the best interest of the children. And that's it. That's what I understand. That's what I know.
My biggest wish for the two women is I wish them just healing and being okay.
Me too.
Because I know if that happens, you don't need courts. You don't need family sit-downs.
No lawyer's going to make money from your personal problem
at all.
When there is healing.
So
100%.
And this is not me saying I hurt them. It's just whatever pain. If they feel it's me, that's okay.
That's okay.
I just hope they heal. Because even if I never see my children, it would be nice for children to be raised by a mama that's healed.
Yes.
As well.
And not angry. Yes. But you must see your children. Because let me tell you, yabo baby boy lo muhle lo engiqeda ukumbona namhlanje, and the ones and your babies that I saw you spent Christmas with. Those kids, it won't matter ukuthi umama uyena ongafuni ubaba unama parenting plans are for. When they look through social media and they see you with your other kids, it won't matter. All that's going to matter is the pain they're going to feel in their hearts. How my dad gets to spend time with his other son. So in fact, just keep on fighting for that. For that,
the other thing I wanted to say is this. I am the worst example of fathers that are fighting for their kids.
Yeah.
For many reasons.
Okay.
Number one, I have a lot of kids with different women. So already I become this thing that, that's okay.
Ngelinye ilanga ngizokubuza ukuthi uyenzeleni leyo nto mfethu abantu besifazane
Angiyenzanga.
bayahlupha.
No,
Oyedwa nje.
I'll explain. Again, it's in the
Ngelinye ilanga.
videos. I
Yeah.
explain
Okay.
how. So you've got 2 kids with
Yeah.
a father.
Yeah.
You meet another man. He marries you.
Okay,
You
fair.
have another 2 kids. He passes on.
Yes.
Then now all of a sudden you've got 3 baby daddies.
Yeah, yeah.
Kanti uzolo
Buwenzani?
ukhuliswe kanjani
Yeah,
wena?
buwenzani.
Kind of
Okay,
thing.
fair. All right.
I'm the worst example for men, and I believe it's wrong that men were projecting their own things in my comments.
Yeah.
I believe it was wrong for the women.
Yes.
But in the same spirit I have of understanding these women,
Yeah.
we need people to understand the men. There are men that are crying in various ways, and they bleed on women.
And committing suicide.
So in the same way, we'll say, look, these women are projecting and they hurt. Some of these guys are hurt. And how these women react, society seems to be okay somehow with keeping the kids and whatever. But they get angry when a man gets violent and whatever. This is not, well, why didn't he just hold the kids? You can't prescribe how people react.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then the next woman, Flaba's partner, stabs him to death.
Yeah.
Kind of situation. And it's not right. But we all need to heal.
Yeah.
Because people are hurt in various ways and they're bleeding. And if nothing else, if my story just shows the dysfunction in society, then at least
I
that.
agree with you.
To say, there's a guy swearing at women, Pella, you bitches, what? You're like, okay, we've got a problem there. Because reading this guy, I can only imagine his circle and the poison that he's at. This woman saying, when I Pella, I hope you never see your kids. It's like, okay, we've got a problem here. And this woman is probably a mother. And how is she, what is her relationship like with her? We've got problems here that we need to fix. Upenwell tomorrow starts seeing his kids, the baby mamas heal, say, but did you see all the people in the comments?
Yeah.
There's problems here. And when men lay hands on a woman, when men kill women, Abospusis or Lawrence, men must stop hurting us. Like, hey, I hear you, you're 100% correct, but we can't just see Kele Pezul. Mothers must stop keeping fathers from their kids. Tell us, Kele Pezul. Can we go to the core of what's wrong? Uncommunicated expectations.
Yeah.
This guy hurt her physically or otherwise.
Yeah.
She wasn't raised correctly. Uma wake is telling her, Tina, asizenzi lezi zinto, angishadanga. Ingane angeke ayibone, le ingane ezethu. There's deeper things now we're dealing with here. Gogo. Our problem. And we're not having those deeper chats. Because again, the mothers of my kids could be healed. They might be like, I'd love for my kids to see the fathers. But if ever I let these kids go to the father, my family will disown me.
Yeah.
And I don't think this guy's going to take me on. My first issue with the mother, the mother with 2 kids, which ended up resolving itself.
Okay.
Because the child was living with Ugogo, I was living here, the mom was living here. She was like, I don't want to fight with my mom. Because if I let you raise this child, we're not married, my mom is going to look at me and be like, what are you doing? So to keep peace, at some point she was like, talk to my mom. I'm not involved. I was like, but this child is ours though.
Yeah.
But luckily that resolved itself up until this situation now. Yeah, so it's deep, but I'm happy to keep having these chats because not just my story, not just my children, because what you're saying, the sins of the fathers, my kids hopefully will watch my story and be like, these are all the mistakes my father made, my mother made, I'm going to avoid them. Thank you to him for making so many mistakes that I can avoid at the very least.
Yeah.
And then for everyone else.
Inkosi ikubusise Puti. I know we haven't touched on the spirituals, but I wish you, and by saying that, ngikufisela all the good energies, beautiful aura, and into what my great grandfather says to me and I'll always keep it is whenever uhlangana ne obstacle, may it be resolved. Because of the work you do, because of the people you've touched, because of the lives you've changed, and because of inhliziyo yakho. Into nento engazuthi intaba ayinciphi vele ihambe. Konke kuhambe kahle.
Thank you. I just want to say this on the child thing because it's a very important thing that everyone raises.
Yeah.
In my choosing to not send money to the mothers, number one, both mothers have lied about my contributions. I've got bank statements, so at any given time, if they go to maintenance court, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I didn't say I will stop maintaining my kids.
Yeah.
It's basic. Not that I didn't say it, sorry. I didn't mean I will stop maintaining my kids. I meant I will stop sending money to the mothers.
Yes.
But at any given time, we can go back to school shopping. I'm not saying I don't want to provide for them. I want to provide for my kids and I want to be a father.
Yeah.
And if anyone is denying these kids money, love, I'm saying I'm now putting the ball in the mom's court. If ingane needs, ubaba wakhe said, ready.
Ngikhona.
I can even come to where you are, go shopping with the kids. But if you're gonna be like, I'm still holding the child, got a too many money, that's what I'm fighting.
Yeah.
I have an issue with that, and we need to have a conversation. I'm not saying I must be an example.
That's why I'm gonna help you find that trust, because you're gonna put your contribution on mama
We'll
in
speak
that
about it. The second thing is we need to amend.
in that trust.
This is a very deep one, and we won't
Yeah.
have time for it. We need to amend the Children's Act that says in the best interest of the children.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad you raised that thing, that even if it pains you, because I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
I believe we need to speak about in the best interest of the family. That's a very deep one. It's very tricky.
Does law
but
support the family structure? Does it even recognize it? The only acts that recognize the family structure are divorce.
Forget the structure.
Yeah, boss.
I'm just saying it can't be that the child is happy, but
Yeah.
mom is bleeding.
Yeah.
I don't think that's in the best interest of the child.
Okay.
So we need a deeper conversation on, yes, the child must be prioritized,
Yeah.
especially because they are minor. But it can't be that the child is happy, but mom is bleeding. Dad is also laughing. Go to mama's dying inside, because we're creating another problem
Yeah.
now in future.
Yeah.
But
That's not something the
Conversation
law
for
can
another
fix,
day.
Penal. That's
Trust.
the way
Trust me.
people think and inhliziyo zabantu.
trust me, we can trust.
I'll
we'll
see you
speak
soon,
about
my
it.
brother.
Thank you for coming through. Thank you for the education.
Pleasure.
We're going to sit very, very soon, because I know there's so much more we need to speak about, and I know people are going to be burning.
Yeah.
Siswami Nyaktanda, I appreciate you. I appreciate your spirit.
Ngiyabonga, mfethu.
I appreciate your upbringing from your parents.
Yeah.
I appreciate Lama Pobesi that you're raising, hopefully with the assistance of the father.
yeah.
And the fact that you came to also call me out on behalf of so many other people, men and women, by
Yeah,
the way.
yeah.
And for pushing me to also continue clarifying my story.
Ngiyabonga.
We are both trying to fix society. I hope people can see the spirit that we have.
I hope so too.
Even in judging us in various ways, we're trying. We're really trying.
And that's what matters the most,
Yeah.
the fact that you are trying.
Thank
If we say thank you.